Ladies and gentlemen, yours truly, Jimmie Williams. I'm back again with another great and informative video. I'm better known as the Wisdom Economics Coach. So all of you who've been following me for quite some time, you know that you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So if you haven't done so already, if you're on YouTube, please take a moment, go to the bottom down there, click on that little red button that says subscribe. Right next to it, there's a little bell that gives you the notifications. Whenever I put out some new content, you guys are the first ones to get it. I don't want you to miss it. Well, greetings, from me and my wife here in Atlanta, Georgia, to all my 5,000 global students, to all of our Instagram followers. We have about 100,000 of you guys strong, over 20,000 YouTube subscribers, 20,000 members in our Facebook group. And I want to take a special moment to address my Facebook group. You guys haven't seen me for a while. That's because I've been busy with so many other projects. But I vowed to come back to the group and start giving you more education, more real estate education, financial education. How to buy a property, how to sell a property, how to get business loans, how to get your businesses funded, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, you got it. I'm going to start giving you that information, but we are primarily a real estate group. And I want to say, thanks for bearing with me over the years. You've been with me, most of you guys, for about 3 years now. And you saw that group grow from 0 to 5,000 to 10,000, 20,000 members now. And you've been there every step of the way. So I'll be back. You'll see me every now and then posting new content. I have a lot of good things coming out. I'm just now back in the studio, believe it or not, and I'm making several videos today, but this one's a very critical one for you guys. I'm going to make sure I pin this at the top in my Facebook group so you guys can watch it. All of you who are aspiring to be real estate investors, I was on someone's show the other night, and I talked about the 5 pillars of real estate, and I'm not sure if I ever taught you guys the 5 pillars of real estate, so I apologize for that, but I'm going to start doing that and teaching you the basics. But these 5 pillars are key. I was on a show with my brother-in-law, and I want to take a moment and tell you a little bit about him and how you can be on his show or be a part of his show and listen in. His name is Raymond Chambers. He's better known as DJ Sugar Ray out of New York City. And he's been on this other platform. It's called BYLR. So you can download the app. It's easy. Just go on your Google Play or whatever on your smartphone, or, if you're on the iPhone, you can find it on there as well. But download the app. It's called BYLR Radio. So he's a phenomenal DJ. He's probably, I call him the GOAT, because he's one of the greatest I've ever seen. He can scratch, he can mix, he's very versatile. But the reason I'm bringing his name up, he has a show where, he has people like me that come on and talk about what we do, and, it's very edifying. So I was on the show the other night, and I'm going to leave a link to how you can subscribe to what he's doing and how to be a part of what he's doing and listen in during the week. But this guy is awesome, but you definitely want to tune in to see what he's talking about, because it's a very awesome show. It's really, really educational, and it's fun. They're cracking jokes on there, and it's a very down-to-earth kind of feeling, and I love his show. So he brought me on the other night, and I didn't have but maybe 3 minutes to talk about the 5 pillars of real estate. Well, you guys know it takes longer than 5 minutes to talk about this. I know you guys got a lot to do, but take 20 minutes right now. 3 of them are already gone, 4 minutes are already gone, about 15 minutes to listen to what I'm going to talk about here. Because what I told him the other night, I said, man, I don't have enough time. So hopefully you'll get it today, and I'm going to tag him so he can see this as well. But again, DJ Sugar Ray, you can Google him, you can look him up. He's all over the place. And BYLR is the radio station that he's on. Okay, I'll leave the link so you can join into him. But let's get into this. Get a pen and a piece of paper, like I always tell you guys. Write this stuff down, because it can slip, it can go in your mind, and then it can leave your mind just as fast as it comes in there. And I always tell you guys, all it takes is one brilliant idea to make you a millionaire. To stay wealthy, you need to just keep your mind open. Your modus operandi has to be about advancement, futuristic, building a strong team, keeping an open mind, and keeping the right things in your mind. And you need to be active with what you know. You just can't talk about it. You have to, my old school mentor said, you got to be about it. And that's how you stay wealthy, right? But these 5 methods here are I would call the pillars of real estate. Let me underline that. Okay? No matter what people are telling you about real estate, there's really only 5 major ways that you can make money, okay? Cash flow. And out of those 5, there's really only one way to create generational wealth. And I'm going to talk about all 5. And I'm going to talk about there's only one method that you can use where you can have no money out of pocket and still make a ton of money, but it's not residual income. So I feel the need to share this, because a lot of you, you're jumping in here, you're hearing oh, I can make so much money with real estate. I just want to jump in and I want to get my first deal. It's more to it than that. Before I get into these, I will always highly advise that you find a mentor or someone you can talk to that's in the industry or the niche that you want to be in. Fix and flip, buy and hold, Airbnb. Find someone in the niche and learn from them all that you can. Let's get into this, okay? And thanks again for watching. Here we go. Number one. There it is. Buy and hold. Why is buy and hold one of the 5 pillars? Because it's only the truest way and the most accurate way, the most tested way to create wealth, long-lasting, generational wealth. I'm talking from generation to generation. It's all about the longevity of buy and hold, okay? I know this for a fact because my family, I'm from a small town called Lake Butler, Florida. A lot of you haven't heard of it. It's like a hole in the wall, and it's like 3,000 people. But my grandfather and his father and his grandfather, they came up. His name was Granddaddy Buck. I'm talking 5-6 generations ago, from Panama, digging the canals in Panama, and he saved up enough money, and his ancestors, our ancestors were slaves, right? Saved up enough money to buy property in this small town called Lake Butler. Okay, little town inside of Lake Butler called Providence. It's a small area in Lake Butler. And they bought tons of land and passed it down generationally, from generation to generation. My grandfather passed it down to us. And there's so many of us on that property now, and it's heir property. It cannot be sold because, the contract says that it cannot be sold to anybody outside. All we have to do is pay the taxes on it. So to me, that's a form of wealth. Land and property is wealth, period. Okay? Point blank, and this is stood the test of time, guys, what I'm talking about. So this is the best way to create wealth, all right? Buy and hold. A lot of you jump into a property, you want to sell it really, really quickly and make a quick profit. That's good if you need cash flow and you need short-term money. But if you want to become a millionaire and be wealthy, you need to let that money, those properties or whatever you purchase, land or whatever it is, sit for a period of time and create the equity over time. And that's how you see some of the older millionaires, we call the old money, is still around because they bought and held their property. They leased it out, rented it out, whatever. And with inflation, real estate sticks with inflation, just like cryptocurrency and these other things. But real estate is more tangible. Property is more tangible. Okay? Land and property is wealth, period. And so that's my personal story, that my family right now still has something. Okay? The people living on the property is all relatives and people, people that I know, but it's in the family. Nobody can take it from us. That's the most powerful thing about creating wealth with real estate. It's yours. Unless you sell it, no one can take it. And it's generational. So this is the number one method. If you want to create wealth and be a true millionaire, a billionaire, and be long lasting and pass it down to your children and children's children, this is the method. Okay. Number 2, wholesaling. I just talked about that. I mentioned before that there's only one method that you can use where you don't have to actually come out of pocket with any money. Here's why. Basically, what you do is, and everybody who's in the industry understands this about wholesaling, we use something called an assignable contract. That's with single family. If it's multifamily, that's a different animal. We'll talk about that another time because I think that'll be too much if I talk about how to wholesale big properties like, apartment complexes and condos. But we're going to deal with single family right now. There's a little contract that's called the assignable contract. Okay? And what that does is it's a contract that says, okay, me, Jimmie Williams, I can legally connect the seller with the buyer in a contract. And me being the wholesaler, bringing the deal together, I can assign that contract from the buyer to the seller or the seller to the buyer, and I can make a cut in the middle without having a dime in my pocket. General scenario. I walk up to Joe Blow and say, hey, listen, I see that you're selling your house on, on Craigslist and all these other places. You can't sell it. I can find you a buyer in 30 days. Just give me the permission. We have to go in a contract. If you're asking $100,000 for the property, I'm gonna make sure you get your $100,000 at the closing, but I can sell it to the next guy for whatever I want. So whenever the contract signed and the money's and the property sold at the end, you get your $100,000. I get my cut in the middle, and the seller is going to pay a certain price, whatever the price I sell it to him for. So if I get him to put it under contract, he or she, for $100,000, and I sell it for $125,000, I get a check at closing, the assignable check, for $25,000 that comes to me. I pay the seller his $100,000, he or she. I take the $25,000 check. The contract is closed, and the buyer over here buys the property for $125,000. Everybody's happy. Seller got his $100,000. This person over here bought the property for $125,000. I walk away with a $25,000 check. Most of you who are in my groups, this is where you're trying to go, but the problem is you're having a tough time finding authentic, really good deals that haven't been shopped, or here's another word, daisy chained, right? Daisy chain means that, you know, you got 5 or 6 people that are trying to shop that same deal, and they keep adding fees on top of it. The best thing to do when it comes to these deals, you got to find, again, you need to find yourself a mentor who has access to good lists that get them coming in from, you know, other softwares like Privy is a good software, PropStream, some of those. There's ways to find good deals and price them out. And you got to get to those deals before they get daisy chained to make that kind of profit without having any money out of pocket. And you walk away with 25 grand. The power is in the list of properties that you get. The power is in the leads. Okay. So this works, but you got to do it the right way. So I highly recommend a lot of you who are doing this, you got to make sure that you connect with the right people. I would go to Craigslist. I would call some of the wholesalers on there. I would call some of the realtors on there, build a personal relationship with them and say, hey, listen, I'm a wholesaler. You know, I'm looking for deals. I can find buyers if you guys got property, and negotiate with them and try to, you know, you can have 2 and 3 people on an assignable contract. You know, basically you can put your LLC as the middle person between the buyer and the seller. And at the end, that LLC gets paid that check. All right. But you can work with 2 or 3 people to find these deals. But I wouldn't recommend a daisy chain. Like, I'm talking anything more than 2 people is too much. But this is the way to go if you don't have a dime in your pocket. And if you want to know more about this, just jump on the post and say, hey, Jimmie, you know, I want more training on it. And I have a 2-part series that I did back in 2018, guys, where I talk about this and how to be a successful wholesaler. And I'll give it to you for free. Just ask for it. All right. Number 3, fix and flip. Fix and flip's powerful because you can actually buy a property, fix it up if you have a good team, put it back on the market, and sell it 90 days later and put anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000 to $100,000 profit in your pocket. It's a really good way to make quick cash quickly. But the key here is having a team. Okay. My definition of team, and a lot of you guys, you don't see it the way I do, but I think team means to me, together, everyone achieves more. You need to have a good title company that can close quick. You need to have a really good contractor that can come in, take a look at the property and say, this is going to take $30,000 to fix it. They can look in within 10 minutes and say, hey, roof, you know, tile, the sink needs to be redone, and this is what it's going to cost. They have to be fast. All right. So title company, contractor, good realtor that you're working with as well. Sometimes you try to work without realtors and it doesn't pan out very good sometimes. But if you have them that are wholesaler friendly, this is the way to go. The only thing with this one, like I said, you know, the second one, which was wholesaling, is the only one that doesn't take cash. With these, you're going to have to get a hard money lender to give you the money to buy the property if the ARV is right. ARV is, I said it in the last video, is the most important term when you're trying to fix and flip property. The after repair value has to be there before the lender comes in and say, okay, Jimmie, the ARV is $250. It's worth $250,000, but it's selling for $85,000. I'll give you the $85,000 and I'll give you another $50,000 to fix the property up sometimes. What they'll do is they'll make you pay for it up front, right? For the after repair, for the repairs. They'll give you the money to buy it, but you have to come out of pocket with the repairs. And then at the end, when it resells, they'll reimburse you back what you put into it. But the good thing about these, as you see, even on television, all these guys with these fix and flip shows, within 90 days, they put a minimum of $50,000 profit in their pocket. It's a way to go if you're really looking to make that fast cash, okay? Another thing you can do is, I talked about this too in my 10-part series about making money with real estate. You can do a double closing, okay? I like that terminology because it's a lot better than fix and flip. You don't have to get so many people involved. You don't have to fix up the property. You don't have to have a whole team. You basically have to do what I call get a transactional funder. A transactional funder, follow me here, is someone who will loan you the money for 72 hours to actually take possession of the property and sell it to someone else. You got to do it in not 90 days, pardon me. You have to do it in 72 hours or 3 days. What you do is when you borrow the money from the transactional funder, the funder gives you all the money you need, okay? And what you do is you basically that money goes to you and you have to turn around quickly and have a buyer in place. I don't recommend you doing this if you don't have a buyer in place. So you have to have your guy in place, he or she in place. You go and you borrow the money for the property. You actually buy that property within that 3-day period, put it in your corporation's name. You have to take possession of the property. And then you turn around. It's almost like an assignable contract, but it's not. You turn around and you sell it to the end buyer, but they cannot see what you're paying for it. So if that property has a $300,000 ARV, you get that deal for $100,000, right? Take possession of it. You got the money to do it. You turn around and you sell it over here to the buyer over here. This could be an investor for $150,000. The property needs $20,000 or $30,000 worth of work. The end guy over here doesn't care because he got it for $150,000. He can put the $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000 into it himself, but he does not know that you picked it up for $100,000. That's why double closings are one of the best ways to make quick cash. And actually, you take possession of that property in your corporation, and then you sell it to him, he or she, in 3 days, and that actually counts as you actually taking possession of it, which is a little bit different than the other method, because when you do an assignable contract, you never take possession of that property. They still have possession. You just they cut your check at the end. With double closing, you get the property in you put it in your corporation's name. Within 2 days, you turn around and you sell it to this person over here, and it's called a double closing. So in essence, you buy it from the seller, you turn around and you sell it to another buyer in 3 days. That transactional funder gives you all that money. They give you whatever you need, the whole $150,000 or whatever you need. And then you have to pay it back to them within 3 days. Okay? I said that wrong. Basically, they're going to give you $100,000 to purchase the property. You put it in your corporation's name. You sell it to this guy over here for $150,000, right? So you got the $100,000, but you sold it for $150,000. So you got a $50,000 profit coming your way. When you get your $50,000 profit, you go back and you pay the $100,000. You go back and you pay what you borrow. Okay, let me go over that one more time. You buy it for $100,000. You add on $50,000, right, for this guy over here. So you sell it to them for $150,000. He doesn't know you're making a $50,000 profit. So he turns around and cuts you a check for $150,000. Okay, then you turn around, so that $150,000 goes to you. You deduct the $100,000 that you borrowed, plus the fee. Sometimes they want 3 and 4% on the the $100,000 you borrow. So you're looking at $105,000 you're paying back. Well, you're going to walk away after you pay back them, these guys over here. You still have $45,000 in profit. That's what people are doing instead of doing, listen to this, the fix and flip, because the fix and flip is more tedious. You got to make sure that you got to look at zoning and the property has to pass certain inspections. That takes a little bit longer. This other method right here, this thing is secretly making people a lot of money, okay? That's all I'm going to say on that. But, you get the idea. Go back and rewind this over and over again until you understand double closings. And there is another video I have on it. But it's very important and it's very strategic in this hour. Trust me. All right. Number 4, cash deals, okay? Again, you're going to need some cash to do these. Cash deals, what do I mean by that? Pre-foreclosures, bank-owned properties, tax liens, and land deals, okay? All right. People in the industry understand this, okay? If you get properties when they're pre-foreclosures or the person that's in the property, that they got their back against the wall, they've lost their job, the property is in pre-foreclosure. One of my mentors taught me this, and I saw him do it. He would get lists every month of list pendants, which is right before pre-foreclosure, of people who are, they're distressed, they got problems with the property, they can't make the payments. He would get this list and he would send out, a little postcard to these people. He made like $30,000 to $50,000 per month just doing this. He would send them a postcard and say, hey, I see the situation you're in with your property, but you don't have the money to keep paying it. So I will come in and I will take over the payments. I will buy you out. I'll give you $10,000 to move out or $20,000. And I will take over. And he comes in, he takes over the property, puts it in a trust. Meanwhile, the property has some equity in it. He lets the equity build a little bit. His wife was a realtor. So what they would do is they put it in a trust, turn around and put it on the market and sell it later. But that method works. But you got to find the people who are having these issues and come up with a solution for them to get out of the property. Okay? That really works. I saw him do it over and over again. And this guy, he was making almost $1 million a year on reaching, 20 people per month. He was sending out a list of like 500. but he would actually close on like 15 or 20 of them a month. Okay, pre-foreclosure. But you got to have some cash up front, obviously, to appease them. So he gave them the 10 or 20,000, whatever they asked for. They packed up and they moved. Right? He would take it over, put it in a trust, let it build some more equity, or he would turn around and sell it. You know, if the property, the person who lived in it, you know, it was worth 300,000 and they owed, you know, 100,000. He sold it for $300,000 and put the rest of that money, he paid off what it was left, put the rest in his pocket. I'm talking pure profit, guys. Number two, or I would say B, bank-owned properties. You know, we have a business relationship with Wells Fargo and some of these other banks that get these properties where the person just, you know, the property goes, you know, the person goes bankrupt and they can't make their payments. The bank takes over the property. Well, you got to have cash to go to some of these auctions. If the property's worth $300,000, the bank says, well, I'm upside down. This thing's upside down. And, you know, if you give us $150,000 or $75,000 cash, you can take it, you can have it. Again, you have to have cash to do these deals. That's why we call them cash deals. Okay. Number three, tax liens. Okay. Go down to the courthouse. You can, this is very easy to do. I don't talk about this method as much because to me, it's even though I'm in real estate, I want to do things with the moral way, with ethics, with business ethics, with integrity. And so this is not a method that I really use, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. But you can go down to the courthouse and you can get access to people who haven't paid their taxes on their properties. Sometimes they go a year and a half, 2 years without paying. And after the third year, depending on what state you're in, you can literally come in and offer to pay the taxes the back taxes that they owe. And then you can literally take over that property. Sometimes the state or the city will give them a certain amount of time to come back and pay those fees that you paid, you know, and so they can keep ownership of the property. But they have a certain amount of time to do that. When you step in, and let's say the taxes are $20,000, you go down there and you pay the cash for that. You know, if they don't meet the deadline to come back and do it, then you take over that property. So here's what I would recommend if you guys did that from a moral perspective. If that does happen, you know, you take over the property and you can look and see that this person has a family that's struggling and going through. You can offer, you know, when you take it over to say, hey, listen, I'll rent the property to you. You can stay in it. I'm just the owner. I took over the responsibilities as far as the taxes and everything. If you stay in it, then you can pay my company a fee so you can lease or rent it from us. That's what I would do. But you can do that all day long. And there's sometimes properties that are worth $1 million, guys. You know, the person couldn't pay the taxes. They only owe like $300,000 on the property. So they have like $700,000 in equity and they just had a tough time. You come in there, you scoop it up. That has happened. All right. Lastly, land deals. Now I'm in the Atlanta, Georgia area. You'll be amazed at how inexpensive lots can be, even in the city. I'm talking lots as low as 10,000, 7,000, you know, some of 30,000, 40,000, but it's a half acre lot or whatever. And you can buy those all day long and sit on them and you know, let them sit for a year. You can buy it for 10,000 this year. And then somebody comes in town and says, you know, I want that lot. I don't care what I got to pay for it. They'll pay you 50, sometimes 75 grand just to buy the lot from you. Well, you got it for $20,000. Again, the key to this is knowing the right people. Like I have a couple of people that my wife and I, we know in this area that have been doing it for many years. So they get access to these lists when they come out, these properties these land deals that are available. And you all know, you know, when you're in a rural area, you know, outside of the city, you can find those kind of deals everywhere. But as you get closer to the city, whether it's New York or LA or wherever it is, it's harder to find good land deals for cheap. The lots, the land lot, the prices just shoot up. But you can make a ton of money. I know a guy that's making a killing right now from land deals. He buys them like $7,000 and $10,000, turns around 6 months later and selling for, you know, 35 and 40 grand per lot. I mean, this is real stuff. Okay. Lastly, real estate development. Can you guys see that? There we go. Real estate development. Now, a lot of people hear this and they go, well, you know, that's very hard to get into. And rightfully so. It takes a little more strategy, more, you know, having access to certain people that are in that industry that want to kind of coach you and mentor you and help you get in it. Because most developers that I've met and that I've seen, they're pretty private. They don't talk a lot. They just don't have time to talk and mentor people. They don't want to mentor. I'm that guy. I love to mentor. I love to help. That's my calling. That's who I am. So anything that I learn in these niches, I'm going to share with you guys. I'm going to make sure you know it. But a lot of guys don't want to share it. You really have to know the right people in the industry I got into this by mistake. You know, interesting. I'm going to tell you my story really quick, and you'll understand what I say, why I say real estate development is definitely something that you have to have. I don't want to use the word luck, but you have to be more blessed than others. Okay. Because, you know, I'm a believer in the Most High. So I use the word blessed. You have to have access, and that blessing will come to you. And it's what you do with it when you get it. Okay. So again, you know, here's how I got into this industry in real estate. I put an ad out when I was in the financial industry, and I still am in finances, but I was talking about, you know, how to get your business funded and those kind of things. And somebody called me back from one of my Craigslist ads, and he ended up being my mentor. So my mentor to this very day. He lives in Stone Mountain, about 30 minutes from me. He said, you know, I see that you're in finance, but the way to go would be real estate. And he started teaching me and showing me how to get into real estate development, how to buy and sell multifamily property, how to be a wholesaler of, you know, casinos and, you know, apartment complexes, condos, you know what I mean, portfolios. He even got a deal from me one time, and we didn't close on it. The World Trade Center was for sale. It was worth $21 billion, guys. This is about 2 years ago. All right. All 9, those new buildings, it was like a total of 7 to 9 of them, including the tallest one that you see there. It was for sale. And all I had to do was bring a buyer, and we would have made $600 million on that deal. Yes, $600 million on one deal. And he was the one that gave me access and told me, you know, who's selling it and how. And so having a mentor, again, is key to getting in certain industries. But I met him, and he started teaching me all these things, and he even started showing me about real estate development. Basically, when you get into development, unless you have all your own money, you generally have to work with investors, contractors. You got to work with the city. You got to know how to structure a deal and put it together. You got to be able to work with other people depending on what's done so far. So when you come in on a real estate development deal, first of all, you got to remember it's more longevity. It's long term. Some deals can take 2 years, 5 years, sometimes 10 years from start to finish. And a lot of times you don't get paid until the end. You know, you may come in with $2 million of your own money, and then this other guy puts in 5, and this other person puts in 2, and the other person, you know, volunteers to help with the infrastructure with his company, you know, because infrastructure is the first part. When you have the plans with the architect, you have to put the infrastructure in. And most investors that we work with don't want to come in a deal and partner with you until they know the infrastructure is there. That's something you don't tell you. You see a deal, you go, man, I want to help develop that deal. I want to get on it. If you're not the one that started the deal, you know, you got your own contractors, you got your own, architects, and got your entire team together. You generally come in when somebody else has started the deal, and you guys finish it together as a team, okay? And then you get paid in the end. Let me give you a general scenario, and I'm closing. A while back, we had a deal in Orlando, Florida. The deal didn't work out because, you know, we were trying to bring on an investor, but the investor was hesitant. He was going to put up all the money, and then we were going to split profits 50-50. But we came to him with this deal. Now, what I did is we found the person who owned the property. It was a regular single-family home on the property, but the property had like 7 acres, and it was zoned for commercial, and it was about 20 minutes from Disney World. So can you imagine, the property was only valued at the time for $350,000, but it was zoned for commercial. So we looked at it. We said, you know what? We can put some townhouses on that property. If it's zoned for commercial, we can figure out a way to buy this guy out over here. We'll take over the property, and we can fix this thing up. We can bring in our own builders and everything. And the projected profits from that was going to be about $5 million once we got it up, and we got it all, you know, got everything, all the property sold, which was probably going to take us about 2 years to do it. But guess what happened? We got the hard money. Well, we were going to get a hard money loan, but right before we got that, we went and we tried to figure out why was the investor being hesitant. Come to find out, he was upset and he didn't want to go forward because the property didn't have infrastructure. What do I mean by infrastructure? The foundation, certain pipes for the plumbing, and you know, and sometimes they want to see the roads there. They want the roads pre-paved there, even though there's no property there. There's no houses. They want, you know, the lighting, the electrical, all those basic things for the infrastructure to be put in were not there. So that real estate development deal went up in smoke. And I had just started getting into it 2 years ago. So we actually borrowed the money from an investor for the earnest money deposit. you know, which is, so earnest money, you know, that basically means you pay 1% of what you're trying to close on the property. So at the time, we hadn't bought the property. The property, again, was worth $350. So the earnest money was $3,500. So we borrowed that. The person we borrowed it from was going to come in with us and help us structure the deal. She was going to help us, you know, find people that would come in and invest more money and would help us build everything up, get all the contractors and all. But, excuse me, when that happened, we couldn't even afford to pay her back. Again, I was just starting this and I didn't know what I was doing. So the investor backed out last minute. He said, Jimmie, I'm sorry, I can't do it, no infrastructure. I couldn't even pay this woman back at the time. We were just that broke. When you get involved in this industry and you don't have enough seed money, that's one of the main causes of failure in this industry. If you read that book, Think and Grow Rich, I keep telling you guys to read, that's one of the main causes for millionaires not to become a millionaire, or people who don't become successful. They have a good idea, they just don't have the seed money. So take that as a lesson in this industry. Again, find a mentor, find a conglomerate, find a group of people that will show you and bring you on the inside of how real estate development works. You can make a ton of money. You get the right deal done, you can make $100 million profit in, let's say, 5 years. You know, and some communities, and the reason I'm into this right now, the way I like it, why I like it so much, is you get a chance to make an impact, okay, to communities. For me, and a lot of you already know this about me, I help any community, I help any person, no matter what they look like, what background they're from, but I have a certain passion to help Black people. You know, we say in the U.S. we say African Americans or Hebrews, right? That's a term that we're waking up to as Hebrews, Black people. I like to help my people come up, especially here in Atlanta and other places. So that's why I want to help develop communities. Okay, real estate development has to be more than just about the money. It has to be something about you, where you want to affect the community and bring change there. All these subdivisions you see, a visionary was behind that. And so my passion is to help our folks. That's why I'm really into this, and to help any other community that needs it. But I'm starting to, now that I'm in Atlanta, I'm starting to see Black Wall Street come to fruition and certain things that's happening. We have to figure out a way to bring that success to our own people, but you really can't do it if you don't have a conglomerate, a group of people to really work with. Okay, so all these here, again, let me just recap. All 5 of these, buy and hold, wholesaling, fix and flip, cash deals, and real estate development, those are the 5 pillars, I would say. There's many other things you can do in real estate, okay? There's a lot you can do. I haven't talked about Airbnb and all that, but this is where you start, okay? This is where I would start. I wouldn't veer from this, okay? I would stay here until I kind of figure out, if I were you, which one you want to start with. Most people start with number 2 because a lot of people who start real estate are broke. They don't have anything. You can take number 2, make yourself $20,000 or $30,000, sometimes $15,000, like clockwork on a wholesale deal. I'm out of time, guys. I hope you got something from this. And again, as I always say, I'll see you at the top. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.